Welcome back to the Following Films podcast. Today we're examining the architecture of memory, trauma, and the blurred lines of reality. Hitting theaters and VOD on June 12th is a film that I promise is going to get under your skin. It's called This Tempting Madness. It's a breathtakingly tense psychological thriller that marks the feature-length directorial debut of Jennifer E. Montgomery. Now, if you think you've seen all sides of Bridgerton superstar Simone Ashley, think again. She delivers a raw, bold, and genuinely transformative performance as Mia, a woman who awakens from a coma with a fractured memory, a grievously injured body, and the devastating realization that the man she loves is missing. Alongside an incredible supporting cast, the film takes us directly into Mia's disoriented mind as she tries to piece together a past she can no longer trust. But what makes This Tempting Madness truly unforgettable is where the story came from. This isn't just a Hollywood script. It's deeply inspired by a harrowing true story. Jennifer wrote the film with her longtime collaborator and spouse, Andrew M. Davis, after living through her own first-hand tragedy. Years ago, Montgomery watched her own best friend's life quietly collapse over a period of 6 months, culminating in an act of severe violence. When her friend finally woke from a coma, those entire 6 months of memory were completely gone. Instead of making a straightforward documentary, Jennifer and Andrew built an immersive cinematic landscape that mirrors how trauma actually works, in loops, contradictions, and shifting colors. From a custom score built literally out of Simone Ashley's own vocal tones, to a vintage Panavision lens that makes from a custom score built literally out of Simone Ashley's own vocal tones, to vintage Panavision lenses that make the frames feel like unpredictable memories. Every single detail of this film was crafted to make us question what is real right along with Mia. We're incredibly lucky to have the mastermind behind this phenomenal film with us today, joining me to talk about the immense responsibility of turning personal trauma into art, pushing cinematic boundaries, and running towards the fire of complex storytelling. Please welcome the director and co-writer of This Tempting Madness, Jennifer E. Montgomery. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks. Hey, how are you today?
Hello, I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Also, I don't know how to change the text, so I don't appear to be Andrew.
I put it together.
But I'm not.
Well, I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, is this going to be, I get the husband and wife pair today? I get the cinematographer and director, or how's that going to work? So,
I mean, that's always a fun dynamic, but he's out running around, so
okay. Very
it's
cool.
just me.
Well, that's fine. That's great. I was prepared to talk to you. So congrats on the film. I think you've made something really special. When I first walked away, my first thought was that you probably had a background in music. Just because of the structure. I thought the way that it kind of repeats itself and comes back, and the kind of the jazz variations on a theme thing. And then to find out you had a background in ballet, it's actually, then there is a rhythmic element to that would 100% go into ballet. Did you feel that those two things are connected as far as the structure of the film and your personal background?
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, it's so awesome to hear when someone isolates down on something like that in your work. So yeah, I'm a ballet dancer, and the rhythm of the editing, the rhythm of the sound is so incredibly important to me because I spent my whole life listening to music and interpreting what that looks like in motion and how that feels in motion. I am trained in music to some degree, and I am a very gifted dancer, but I am not a gifted musician at all. You never want to hear me sing. And I technically play the tenor saxophone and a little bit of piano, but I know a lot of people that are gifted in that area. Yep. I am not one of them.
Surround yourself with people with real talent and you'll realize, yes, that's I have guitars back here and stuff, but I am not a guitarist. I enjoy messing around, but I am not a musician by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, but I can hear it. So I hear it very well.
Sure.
but I wouldn't call myself the musician. So it's interesting that you pick up on that though, because the score in this is something that we worked really collaboratively with both the sound designer and the composer
Sure.
because we wanted it to be rhythmic and have this blending of the two where you didn't know if it was environmental or and sound design or if it was composition. And so the two were really passing off back and forth all the time. So we spent a lot of time in the mix stage on this one just to make sure to get that balance right. And with all of our sound engineers who were so fantastic, balancing that out, and our music editor. Um, but the score was actually created from Simone's voice. So Simone Ashley from Bridgerton plays
Right.
the lead in the film, and she has been a singer since she was small, and she's classically trained singer, and she has perfect pitch. And like you can
Wow.
walk up to her and ask her to sing a note at any point, she will do a scale like that. Like it just comes out. She doesn't even have to warm up. It's incredible. I'm like, this girl, wow, you're so talented. Um, so we knew that. And when we were talking to our composer had created this voice organ where she could take the human voice and then associate it with a key on her keyboard so that she could play the human voice as notes. So together we came up with this idea that we would use Simone's voice and have Simone actually record her voice in 2 octaves, singing notes of just tones and hums and whispers, and then put that into the voice organ and use that to create the soundscape of the film for the composition. So the composition, we have a great cellist who does, the string part of it,
Yeah.
Julia Kent. But then beyond that, the vocal tones and the other tones you hear, those are all created from Simone's voice in one way or another.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that's a bold idea to land on
Yeah.
to approach. And how did you approach that to get her to do that? Because that's a little bit of extra effort that normally wouldn't go into a role, I would
It's
imagine.
so funny because she's so good at singing. She actually just dropped a new album, so people should check that out. But she's so just naturally gifted at the voice work like that that it was just something that she literally just had to record 2 scales, 2 octaves
And
of both
okay.
her voice and like I said, the humming and the tones and stuff like that. But we just did it in ADR. Like when we were recording other ADR lines, we're like, hey, can we throw this at you? Can you just do a couple octaves for us with these different things? And she was like, oh yeah, okay, and just boom, whipped it out. It was done in like 5 minutes. I mean, the music was not done in
No,
five
no, of
minutes,
course not.
believe
No,
me.
but you had the bass notes that you could play with at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's amazing. What a great idea. I love that. I've never heard that. That's fantastic. And it
Yeah, yeah, no, I credit the composer with that, and it worked to do it in this crazy way because of the gift that we had with Simone. So,
and it's something that plays into sort of we never know exactly where she is at a different time
yeah,
in her emotional state. If this
yeah,
is actual reality, if this is her perception of reality, if
right,
this is her masking trauma or actually experiencing it at the time and trying to, and that's kind of this unraveling that when it revisits a moment and you recontextualize several moments, including the opening scene of it, that is the
yep,
kind of that's the whole film is recontextualize the meaning of that fall that we
right.
see right away. And so to have the music playing into that with it is just it's invisible when you watch the film. It's not drawing attention to itself, which I think is probably the goal of that
Yeah,
kind of music, that it feels emotionally resonant more than anything.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
So
Appreciate.
then could you talk a little bit about the meaning of color in this? Because most films that are dealing with trauma like this, they tend to go very saturated gray, kind of like blues and these colors that
Yeah.
you see a lot of things like that. And this is a decidedly colorful and bright, and you make warm colors unnerving, which I love when people do that. So talk about a little bit about the design of the film in that way as well.
Yeah, so this film deals with a lot of difficult subject matter that people are often hesitant to talk about, but that I think a lot of people have experience with in their lives,
Of
either
course.
personally or friends and family. And we just wanted to take the subject matter and not just approach it just as a straight drama, but to approach it in a subversive way that was really bringing the audience in a way that was different than just going and watching a straight true crime or straight drama. And so it, in that sense, it very much is a genre, a psychological thriller, but to that end, the key image of the film that we had always started with is this notion of, is Mia falling or floating? And
Mm.
ultimately knowing that we wanted, I have, sorry.
You're
Uh,
good.
there was a bug in front of my face. So we started with this image of her floating or falling, and ultimately knowing that we wanted her to have an ending that showed how strong she really was in the end. And so the image was always created to be a phoenix, so
Mm.
that she's a phoenix that's rising from the
Hence
ashes.
the orange dress
Hence
color. And okay,
the
yeah.
orange
Okay.
dress and the bright red, bright orange. Um, and so that's what we were really leaning into. And even just with the way that we designed the skirt to be a plume so that it specifically would go up around her, almost like emulating wings in a way.
Well, and if you look at the moment where she's in bed
Hmm.
with her husband, fiance at the time, I believe,
Yeah.
and they're dressed in white, and there's the
Hmm.
all the red is coming from the outside, and it's kind of,
Hmm.
you could read that multiple ways. Where you could think of like, this is warmth and sunlight coming through, or is this a fire that's coming towards them, and which way? And so it's just,
Right.
it feels like it's a film that lends itself to multiple viewings that you could go back, and
Yeah.
and it's, you're touching on something with this being a true crime story, that it is
Hmm.
um, based on something that actually happened, but it's not exact in that sense, that it's not like a note for note, which I think a lot of stories that are based on actual events,
Hmm.
they get so bogged down in the details of point A to point B that they lose the feeling of what that was like. And I feel
Yeah.
like your film is emotionally honest, which is actually doing more justice to probably what happened.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I think there was so much that we had to work with going into this story, and it's something that we experienced personally because it happened. The story revolves around Mia, who in my life, my best friend went through this circumstance, and I went through that with her. And from the point, and by I went through it with her, I obviously did not have to go through what she went through.
Right.
But she, from the point that she was in a coma and recovering, trying to recover her memory, I was speaking to her twice a day for an hour at a time. And so that process of reliving that with her and just like going through the healing, there are so many tiny things along the way. And also just trying to unravel the mystery of what actually happened because it's shocking. It's shocking for her, it's shocking for her
Mm.
friends and her family. Um, and, there are certain things that we kind of could see going into it, but nobody ever really can fully picture this coming, right? And I think the hardest part was honestly choosing what not to include because there's just so much.
Sure.
Um, and I think that also there are a lot of times when you are dealing with someone who is recovering from um, brain damage that you can be, or just any emotional circumstance, it can be
Right.
really tough as friends and family to see them going through it because you feel like at times you want to shake them because oh, you shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
This isn't good for you. But also, if you put yourself in their shoes and if you think about the times when you've been in those emotionally vulnerable times, sometimes it's not so easy to see. Sometimes it just really emotionally feels like you have to explore something to know what happened. And so, it was important to us to really capture her emotional journey in that way so that at the times when you feel like you can't understand her, that's why we're with her, so that we can really live in what that was like for her.
No, and it feels like something that is very respectful in that way. And I just, when one of the first things I had that was a takeaway from this was how we have this relationship with memory, and
Hmm.
memory is essentially what we are. We're a
Yeah.
collection of all the things that happen to us. And anybody, you have two people that have the same experience. We both walked down the street at the same time, met the same people, did it, but we will tell wildly different stories. And so
Mhm.
our memories are not reliable. Our
Right.
sense of self is tenuous at best. And so this idea of going through this event, while not something that we all go through, I think we've all had some sort of trauma in our lives that we
Right.
deal with in our own way, where we mask it and we tell a story enough times that
Totally.
becomes reality instead of that's not actually what happened. So I
Yeah.
think there's a very relatable element of what she's going through in this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I always think about um just, like if your parents tell you stories about yourself when you're little, and then there's a point when you realize, wait, I don't actually have a memory of that. I just think I have a memory of that because I've heard it so many times.
Yep. And the other thing is your parents, what you'll realize is they told themselves stories about that moment also. And that
Exactly.
they'll say this thing about you, they're like, I was there and that doesn't feel like how I experienced it. That's how
Yeah,
you saw me, but that's not what was going on.
right.
And
Right.
so it's such an interesting thing with that when you look at your own past in that way, and who are you? Who are the people that you've surrounded yourself with, even
Yeah.
your closest friends and your family and your loved ones? And
Yeah.
what does that mean when this 6 month period disappears and
Right.
it's gone and you're just trying to put those pieces back together? I don't, here's the thing, I don't want to give anything away, but I honestly feel
Yeah.
like I could
Thank you.
tell every detail of this movie and it wouldn't spoil it, because the experience, I'm not kidding. It's something that I think you could know all the beats of it and it wouldn't take away from the experience of the film, because it's not a plot movie like that.
Right.
It's not the what happened. It's more of how it was experienced
Yeah.
is the real key to this movie more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, we worked hard to make it very immersive from Mia's perspective.
Immersive.
Um,
That's a good word. Yeah. I
yeah.
would agree that is what it is for sure.
Cool, cool. Yeah, no, I mean to the memory piece though, that was I think the big challenge for her friends and family is when we had memories of things that she didn't have memories of. And for the most part, she has most of her memory back now, but there are still certain things that her mind has selectively protected her from. Uh so I think but that is hard because like when someone doesn't remember something, you don't want it's an enormous responsibility anytime you're helping them remember, because you want to try to help them remember it as they experienced it so that you aren't making their past your past.
That makes perfect sense. That's actually, um, I think that definitely comes through in this.
Yeah.
There was another thing about you being a former ballet dancer, ballerina.
Uh-huh.
Um, Ballet is one of the hardest things that somebody can do to their body.
Yeah.
Ballerinas get fucked up by what they do to themselves.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
way that you show the body horror in this, that
Mhm.
made sense when I saw that. The way that you linger on injuries and wounds, and it felt like this is you taping up your feet in a way, and it felt like
Yeah.
there was just it's unflinching. The stuff you do with the mouth in this is rough. It's hard to
Yeah.
watch at times, but
Yeah.
very effective.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. But I mean, honestly, that also comes from the real experience.
Of
Her
course.
jaw was absolutely shattered. And and then if you saw her today, you wouldn't be able to tell because they were able to reconstruct it. But to get it to a place where it looks good versus
Mhm.
where it's functionally good is really tough. Like you have to stretch the mouth open again
Oh,
because it just wants to be fused
yeah.
closed. So it was just like there was just like the stretching of the jaw so that she could even have the ability to eat again. And then there's also, I mean, think about how many people wear night guards at night because they grind their teeth when they're stressed,
I'm one.
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think most people are. And if they don't have their mouth guard, they should probably get one. I have one. I don't use it. My dentist is going to kill me. Um, but yeah, and the thing about that though is you're grinding your teeth because there's like some sort of stress when you're sleeping, right? And so in this circumstance, she's not only healing, but she has all that stress of trying to figure out what's going on. So it is all very central to the mouth. It's like the daily reminder that she can't escape.
And there's some part of her, we assume, that
Mhm.
knows that
Right.
there is a part deep down in there somewhere that she can't access, she can't unlock, that knows the truth of this. And that's part of that stress that she's going through every night
Right.
also. But then there's the moments where you go into the reality of it, and then where she pulls a screw out from her mouth, which is the perception of it, I'm assuming, at that moment. And so those are the things that just feel very, that's
You
the
know,
emotional honesty.
it's an emo there. Those are the things that are the truth is stranger than fiction,
Oh,
where
no.
certainly there are moments that are exaggerated, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I will tell you when you have that many screws in your mouth because
Oh,
you have to reconstruct a jaw,
things
things
happen.
happen.
God. Okay. All right. That's a poor assumption on my behalf. So,
Yeah.
okay. So then, could you talk about, again, sort of that, like, the non-linear path in the way that you're telling the story? And I think that's important in how we heal. So
hmm
when we start putting the pieces back together, it's not like you just go point A to point B to point C, all done, everything's taken care of. That you
Yeah,
start putting together pieces of it and you start becoming comfortable or understanding your part in something larger that happened. Eventually you get a fuller picture of it,
yeah,
or a place that you move on from it. I don't know
right,
how full the picture truly ever is, but
right.
you do circle around in that way. And I think that is a part of how we deal with trauma, is that we do move through it in that sense. Is that a part of, again, why you're telling the story in that nonlinear path?
Yeah, because as memories come back, they come back in fragments, right?
Right.
Like if you were really to sit and think about your memory of something in a way, it moves so fast through your brain in comparison to how it actually happened. So whatever you're registering as your memory is really just such a fraction of it. And so as it's coming back, you don't necessarily remember the full context of it. And particularly with Mia, when she's experiencing amnesia, you don't like you can remember a piece of it, but this piece without this other piece is recontextualized totally different than when you
Yes.
put them together. And also, I think from an emotional standpoint, there are so many ramifications to the different realities of how this may have happened because one reality says something about you, another reality says something about someone you love.
Yeah.
Either reality says something different about you and how you want to see yourself and how you want to see those around you changes how you're processing those memories.
Absolutely. And you allow your characters to be fully realized enough that it's not obvious
Uh-huh.
that it could be either way, and this who plays what part isn't immediately apparent. And I think that you could make certain elements more villainous and more evil right from the get-go, but you don't
hmm
do that. And then that would push you against, I think, both characters. In that sense, you allow there to be moments of vulnerability and moments of where they're warm and kind, but moments where both of them, at the center of this, where they both feel off and that they could be the
Right.
ones that cause this to happen. And there is a little bit of a reckoning that's happening internally with her, but as an audience, we're going through that as well, as we're trying to put together the story of what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So what was it like working with your spouse on this?
Well, he and I have worked together really since we were kids. You know, we met on a movie set that we
Really?
interned on. Yeah, we were both interns on a movie set when I was 17, he was 19. So we've been kind of just working on projects together ever since. So in many ways, it's just the language we speak. So I know a lot of people it would be a huge challenge to work with their spouse, but for us it's just sort of how we've been built.
I work from home and my wife's right outside the door. So
Yeah.
I work with my wife every day and I love it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it any other way, but I could imagine that being a struggle for some people. So we're,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're
No, I mean, I think it's like one of those things where working on a film, and I have to say this film especially, but working on any film is so time intensive and so immersive of all of your thoughts and energies that it would, in so many ways, feel so difficult to do this with someone to be married to someone that I wasn't doing this with
Sure.
because you get so obsessed for better or for worse. And so
Yeah.
to have someone that's obsessed right there with you so that you're speaking the language and there's like these shortcuts to things, it's very nice. I think to me, I wouldn't have it any other way. I think we could have been torn apart in the process, but it definitely only brought us closer.
Do you guys ever have the moment where you need to unplug from work when you have the one when you're working 6 day weeks, 14 hours a day, you have that one Monday or Sunday off and you say, okay,
Yeah.
we're not talking about it at breakfast today. It'll come up at some point but we're not going to shot list. We're not going to do anything like that.
Yeah.
We're just going to read the paper together this
We
morning.
do. We have those moments. I don't know that we can really ever shut it off. I think that is the torment of an artist to some
Sure.
degree. Because you can maybe compartmentalize where you're like, oh no, we're not thinking about that or talking about that, but really we kind of are always.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean we don't carve out time to do other things. We absolutely do. And that's just like, because that's all part of the creative process. Your life around you is what fuels you creatively, whether that is reading and or keeping up with what's happening in the world or meeting up with friends and family. So we certainly do prioritize time in that way as well. But, the creative is always itching at the back of your head.
And that you can share that creative with your loved ones. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. That's a rare gift to have.
Yeah.
So um, then the other thing that ties into that is you guys are, I assume, punching above your weight class in this movie,
Oh,
where
yeah.
I don't know what your budget was, but I look at the houses, I look at the cars, I look at the setting, and this looks like a movie that was wildly expensive, but I have a feeling it wasn't. So
No,
okay.
no, it's definitely a small little indie movie, and our schedule was horrifically aggressive. Um, and there was definitely a moment when we were approaching wrap where there's this panic that you just don't know if you have a movie in the can. But thankfully we had a great editor we were working with. Kieran, I love him. I work with him any day. Um, and we found the movie even with all the things we didn't get. So yeah, it was very ambitious.
How many
We
days
had
did you
a
have to shoot?
fantastic cast and crew to support us in getting through this, and I'm thankful to every single one of them.
How long was your shoot?
25 days, nearly
That's
25 days, like just under.
that's pretty. For people that haven't seen the film, which I think is most people will be listening to this right now,
Yeah.
um, this is not a film that feels small by
Mhm.
any stretch of the imagination. So you're changing. How many locations you have close to 20 locations in this
Oh,
thing, I would
yeah.
imagine. So
Yeah.
you're changing every day. So you're having to lock
Yeah.
down each set every day as you move away from it. And you're shooting all practical for the most part, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we did have some VFX,
Okay.
um, and we did have to do a lot of rounds of VFX on that. I think that took the film a little bit longer to get finished than we had anticipated, because some of those were harder to execute in post than we anticipated. But yeah, no, it was a lot of practical. It was a lot of locations. Um, I think it's so funny because Andrew and I tend to write really big projects, and when we wrote this project, we're like, "Oh, this is great. We finally wrote a small movie." Uh,
There's a version of this that could be a stage play, though. Honestly, you could do a very
sure.
small version of this story because when you boil it down to its most essential, that's not the approach you took, but you could
No.
do a very small version of it.
Like big theatrical, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just the way we think. He's a cinematographer. I'm a ballet dancer. I don't know. It's just you thinking all the movements, all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, our line producers, we kept being like, no, 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 this is totally affordable with the budget. And they'd be like, no, guys, no.
Well, when is
So
this coming out? When will people be able to see the film?
this is coming out June 12th. So
June
we're going to
12th.
have a limited theatrical. We'll be in some major cities, and we don't know exactly which theaters yet, but we will be in theaters in a limited quantity, and then we're going to be day and day release for on demand. So you can get it on, you'll be able to get it on Apple, Amazon, Fandango. Yeah.
Fantastic. This is
Yeah.
something that I would love to see in a theater. I
Yeah.
did watch it at home and it was great and I really enjoyed it, but this is something that I think it would be much better on a in a theater if I could do that. So,
I really hope that we can sneak into as many theaters as possible because I have to say, I mean, I've seen the movie a million and a half times, but it was funny because I remember we had it screen and Cinequest at the Alamo
oh
Draft.
yeah. Okay.
And when we were screening at the Alamo Draft House, I was just sort of waiting outside the theater to know when to come in for the Q&A. And I opened the door and I could hear the sound. And I was like, yes. And then we walked in, I was like, oh, wow. I mean, it is just being able to see the full picture with all of the, special camera work we did and hear the sound and the way that we spent so long on the mix stage developing with our whole sound team in that way. It really it's so immersive. It's so exciting to be able to hear it and see it in that way. And I do think, some movies are just as fun at home. And some movies are
True.
just more fun in a theater. And we really did design this for a theater. And so the more people that want to go out and see it in a theater, please do.
Well, I watched Obsession last night. Me and my wife went to
Uh-huh.
see Obsession and then came home and watched this last night.
Oh,
It's
wow.
a really good double feature. That it's just like this. You wouldn't think about it naturally, but it is a relationships are not easy double feature,
Okay.
and it
Yeah.
is. And I could imagine the audience that was in the theater that I watched Obsession last night really going along with this one as well. So I hope people will check it out if they get a chance.
Yes. Thank you. I
Well,
do as well.
thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it, and congrats on the movie. You got a special one here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I don't wanna go home, not this time. You think the story gets old, but I don't mind. After all the things she said to me, after all I know she cares. But that night, I was not alright. I've never been there, so I was quite scared. So I've never been there, so I was quite scared. Oh, and I remember all the words she said to me. Now I know she's got me figured out, figured out, figured out. And I don't wanna go home. Not tonight. Just let me talk about all the old times. Just drink until it's funny, babe. I feel future's all upstairs, but I know I'm alright. I've never been there, so I was quite scared. So I've never been there, so I was quite scared. Oh, and I remember all the words she said to me. Now I know she's got me figured out, figured out, figured out. I miss my friends, I miss my friends so. I miss my friends, I miss my friends so.
I am not going to feel good tomorrow, though. I got a feeling I got one of those hangovers.